Welcome to Silent Secrets. Today's message is one every man who has ever loved deeply needs to hear. You gave her your time, your attention, your loyalty, and your best self. You were consistent, supportive, and patient. You listened, you cared, and you believed that doing everything right would guarantee her love. But then she left. No warning, no clear reason. Just silence where connection used to live. And now, you sit there wondering, why wasn't I enough? That question has broken more men than heartbreak itself, because it sounds noble, it sounds honest, but it's the wrong question entirely. The truth is not about being enough. It's about understanding what truly keeps a woman connected, not to what you do, but to who you are. See, love built on effort alone is fragile. It fades when your energy runs out, but love built on essence, on the strength of your inner world, that's what endures. In this video, we'll go deep into the psychology of attraction, the wisdom of stoicism, and the quiet truths modern men forget. By the end, you'll understand what women are truly loyal to, and why chasing validation only leads to emptiness. You'll learn how to stop performing for love, and instead, become the kind of man love naturally follows. Let's begin. The wrong question. Why wasn't I enough? When a woman leaves, most men replay everything they did wrong. They think about the gifts they gave, the messages they sent, the apologies they made. They count their sacrifices and wonder why they weren't valued. But the truth? She didn't leave because you didn't give enough. She left because she no longer felt something deep enough to stay. Women are emotional beings, not in the weak sense, but in the sensory, intuitive sense. They don't attach to effort, they attach to energy. You can't make her feel secure by working harder. You can't force connection by over-explaining. And you can't buy loyalty with devotion. Real connection comes from alignment, when who you are internally creates an emotional world she feels safe inside. The harsh truth most men never realize is that loyalty isn't something you earn through service. It's something you command through presence. The power of presence isn't about speaking more, doing more, or showing more. It's about being more. When you walk into a room and your energy says, I know who I am, you don't need to say much else. That calm, grounded certainty is what every woman subconsciously looks for, because it allows her to relax. Think about it. When you're anxious, needy, or constantly seeking reassurance, you transmit chaos. Even if your words are sweet, your energy screams uncertainty. But when you are anchored, when your mind is quiet, your body language open, your tone slow and controlled, you create emotional gravity. You don't chase her peace. You become it, and that's what she's loyal to. Not to your promises, but to the feeling she has around you. You could spend thousands on dates and gifts, but if she doesn't feel that grounded safety in your energy, she won't stay. So instead of asking, why wasn't I enough? Ask, was I centered? Because if your love came from neediness, she felt pressure, not peace. The mission. Why men lose themselves. Here's another hard truth. The moment you made her your mission, you lost her respect. Women are not drawn to men who orbit them. They're drawn to men who are going somewhere. A man without a mission becomes emotionally dependent. His focus shrinks to the relationship, and the relationship suffocates under that weight. But when your energy is moving, when you're building, creating, improving, she feels something magnetic. She feels inspired. She sees a man with purpose, and instinctively, she wants to align with that strength. That's how polarity works. You don't win her by proving your devotion. You win her by proving your direction. When she sees that your purpose doesn't require her permission, that your path continues regardless of her mood or approval, that's when she leans in. Not because you chased, but because you didn't need to. She doesn't want to be your mission. She wants to witness it, to be near it, to be chosen, not worshipped. Boundaries, the language of respect. You thought being nice would keep the peace. You thought giving more would show your love. You thought tolerance was patience. But every time you bent your boundaries to please her, you trained her to see you as bendable. And here's the paradox. Every woman wants to feel safe with her man, but she can't feel safe if she's the one testing his limits and he never holds them. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're structure. They communicate self-respect, and through that, they create attraction. When you enforce a boundary calmly, you send a clear signal: I value myself enough not to allow chaos in my space. And deep down, she admires that. She might push back in the moment, but her respect for you grows. If you keep avoiding confrontation just to maintain peace, you'll eventually destroy both peace and respect. True masculinity isn't aggressive. It's anchored. It's the quiet strength to say, "This is what I stand for," and then stand for it. Masculine energy versus emotional oversharing. Let's make one thing clear. Masculinity isn't emotional suppression. It's emotional mastery. You don't need to hide your feelings. You need to own them. Many men confuse vulnerability with emotional dumping. They open up too early, too much, and too often, turning the woman into their emotional caretaker instead of their companion. In that moment, the polarity flips. She becomes the leader of your emotional state. She feels responsible for your moods, and her attraction begins to fade. Masculine energy doesn't mean you never express emotion. It means your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Be emotionally aware, but don't surrender your stability. Speak your truth with clarity, not chaos. Show strength through composure, not silence. When you can look her in the eye, admit your feelings calmly, and still hold your ground, that's emotional leadership. That's what draws her in. 6. The Stoic core. Control what you can. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern men forget. You can't control others, only yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If you live reacting to her emotions, her actions, or her approval, you've handed your power away. A woman's attraction isn't something you can control. But your response always is. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop negotiating for love, you reclaim your peace. You stop being tossed by every wave, because you've become the ocean. That's what true masculinity looks like. Calm under pressure, kind under chaos, centered under confusion, and ironically, when you reach that place of inner stillness, that's when women start noticing you again. Because peace is rare, and strength without ego is magnetic. She's loyal to how you make her feel about herself. Here's the emotional truth behind all of this. Woman stays where she feels most herself. If she feels more feminine, more relaxed, more seen, she'll crave your energy. If she feels judged, pressured, or responsible for your happiness, she'll drift. Your role isn't to make her happy. It's to create an environment where her happiness naturally exists. That happens when your masculine frame is intact. When you're grounded, she can rest. When you lead with confidence, she can soften. When you're emotionally stable, she can be expressive. Your energy sets the tone. Always. That's why you can't fake confidence or peace, because she can feel when it's real and when it's forced. So don't perform for love. Practice self-respect, discipline, and purpose. That's the energy that changes how people experience you. Not just women, but everyone. The quiet power of self-focus. Here's what changes everything. When you stop trying to win her back and start trying to rebuild yourself. Instead of chasing answers, chase growth. Instead of replaying memories, replay your mission. The universe respects momentum. When you move, opportunities appear. When you sit in regret, you shrink. When you build, you expand. The man who focuses on becoming stronger, wiser, and more self-controlled doesn't need to beg for loyalty, because people are naturally drawn to his energy. Your ex might notice. Or she might not, but you will. You'll notice how different you feel, how your confidence returns, how peace becomes your default state. And ironically, that's when she might circle back, when you no longer need her to. The evolution of a Stoic man. A Stoic man isn't cold. He's clear. He feels deeply, but he doesn't get lost in feeling. He loves, but he doesn't depend. He listens. But he doesn't absorb every emotion thrown his way. He gives, but he gives from abundance, not desperation. When she leaves, he doesn't crumble. He reflects, he asks, "What did this teach me? Where did I abandon myself? What can I rebuild stronger?" He doesn't chase closure. He creates it through acceptance. Pain becomes his teacher. Silence becomes his sanctuary. And self-discipline becomes his revenge. What she's really loyal to at the core, every woman is loyal to 4 things: her emotions around you. If you make her feel peace, she associates you with safety. If you make her feel chaos, she retreats. Your direction in life. A man with purpose is magnetic. A man who drifts is invisible. Your boundaries. When you protect your energy, she feels your strength. When you abandon it, she feels your weakness, your masculine stability. She's not drawn to emotional overload. She's drawn to emotional leadership. You can't fake any of those. They're built through consistency, not performance. Reclaiming your power. Here's the turning point. Stop asking, "How can I make her love me again?" Start asking, "How can I love myself so completely that losing her no longer defines me?" That shift changes everything. When you start valuing your time, your goals, and your peace, your energy transforms. You start walking differently, speaking differently, thinking differently, and people feel it, especially women. They sense the difference between a man chasing validation and a man living in alignment. One drains energy. The other generates it. The first begs to be chosen. The second chooses himself. Be that second man. The philosophy of letting go. Letting go isn't about indifference. It's about freedom. When you stop resisting what has already happened, you free yourself to live again. Pain is part of life, but suffering is optional. Suffering begins the moment you demand that reality be different from what it is. Stoicism teaches acceptance, not apathy. It teaches us that peace isn't the absence of emotion, but the mastery of reaction. So when you think about her, don't suppress it. Just observe it, breathe through it. Let the emotion rise, feel it, and let it pass. Every time you do that, you become stronger, more grounded, more present. That's how real healing happens, not through avoidance, but through awareness. The rebuild. How to become the man. She can't forget. You don't rebuild by pretending you're fine. You rebuild by upgrading your foundation. Discipline. Create structure. Wake up early. Train your body and your mind. Purpose. Reconnect with your goals. Write them down. Work toward them daily. Solitude. Learn to enjoy your own company. Silence teaches you what noise hides. Boundaries. Don't give access to anyone who disrespects your energy. Gratitude. Focus on what remains, not what's missing. As you do this, something powerful happens. You stop attracting chaos because chaos no longer feels familiar. And when she sees you again, calm, focused, and glowing from inner stability, she'll remember the version of you she once admired, multiplied by 10. But by then, you won't need her validation. You'll already be full. And the new definition of enough, you were never not enough. You were just giving the wrong parts of yourself to the wrong person, for the wrong reason. Being enough was never about effort. It was about alignment. You become enough the moment you stop trying to be more for others and start being complete within yourself. Enough is a man who leads with calm. Enough is a man who builds in silence. Enough is a man who knows he's whole, even alone. That's what she's loyal to, and that's who you were always meant to become. The final truth stop, trying to prove your worth. Live it, because when you finally understand that her leaving wasn't rejection, it was redirection, you'll start to see the beauty in what happened. She left so you could rise. She walked away so you could return to yourself. And when you do, when you rebuild with wisdom, peace, and power, you'll realize she didn't take anything from you. She simply revealed what was missing. Now it's your turn to fill that space. not with her, but with purpose. If this message spoke to your soul, then remember, this isn't about women. It's about awakening your inner strength. You don't have to stop loving. You just have to stop losing yourself when you do. Be the man who stands firm in silence. Be the man who speaks truth without fear. Be the man who loves with depth, but never with dependency, because once you master yourself, you'll never fear losing anyone again. The Stoics taught us that peace isn't something you find. It's something you become. And once you become peace, you'll attract everything meant for you, so stop chasing her. Start chasing purpose. Stop replaying what went wrong. Start designing what comes next. Your journey toward true strength starts right now, with one simple choice: to live for yourself, not for approval. If you're ready to rise above heartbreak, to rebuild your frame, and to live with calm, purpose, and power, then subscribe and join us here at Silent Secrets, because here, we don't chase, we build, we grow, and we lead with silence, strength, and self-respect. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. Welcome to the circle, and welcome back to yourself.